that should be on my screen, but my screen died. Who's the sponsor?
Johnson Pope.
Johnson Pope. Johnson Pope sponsored this place.
Thank you, Johnson Pope.
Thank you, Johnson Pope. So there are a couple of articles in the news this week about the wedding industry, since we have a big interest in the wedding industry and how our app can help people with their wedding. I want to give you a little bit of information that we came across. Like,
I hate talking. Okay, so oh my god, are we restarting from the beginning? Like,
yes.
Oh God. Okay. So yeah. So the big thing we're doing is the first article we both liked a lot because it addressed introverts at a wedding, and Mike will go on into the differences later between an introvert and an extrovert that's shy, because there is a difference. And then, but it's I just liked that it was something that is true to what Maka Social is about. We're trying to help both introverts and extroverts that are shy, find their people more easily. So yeah, that's a start. And then Mike.
So, like, what do you think was your favorite tip out of the article?
I think finding, I put in my notes finding crap you enjoy, but I think just finding stuff you enjoy, because I think you think, and part of it's like preparing for it, so if you already know it's going to be like, and you can ask the bride or groom, whoever the heck invited you, I've got to work on not cursing, like what activities are going to be, because not everybody's a dancer, not everybody wants to do little things, but some, like a lot of weddings I've gone to have like outdoor things, like where you try to get a beanbag in a hole. I don't know what the hell the game's called.
Most of us call that cornhole.
Okay, cornhole. Okay, I don't know. I usually am dancing, but I know they have those things. They have like, yeah, I've seen all kinds of crap. So if you find something that you you can enjoy and do, I think it'll having that mentally prepare, it'll make it a little bit easier, and you'll find other people who will be doing it too, so you've already got make it a little bit easier to make friends.
I think one of the biggest lessons that they taught is, let me define an introvert, because a lot of people don't understand there's a big difference between being shy and being an introvert. Introverts are people who generally recharge their batteries through solitude or being by themselves. They don't necessarily not enjoy people, or a lot of them do, but it can be stressful or very exhausting or time consuming to be around large numbers of people. Whereas extroverts are kind of the opposite. And most people, by the way, are not one or the other. Most people, it's a spectrum, and most people fall towards the middle. Versus a shy person who is uncomfortable with approaching people that they don't know, or talking to strangers. There are a lot of extroverts out there who are shy, about 1 in 4 people actually. So one of the things that I really loved about this article is they got that right. They're strictly talking about introverts and how to survive a wedding as an introvert, and not just somebody who is shy. So being a person who recharges their batteries through solitude, the two of the tips were kind of the same tip. And that was, you want to make sure that you're taking a lot of time before and after to charge up those social batteries. Like, if you know that it's going to be a big affair, like take the day off before, take the day off after, to be by yourself and to charge up and to recharge after the big event.
And I think, what another thing is, nobody knows your limits more than you do, and it's okay. I mean, to step away and take breaks, and if you need to,
yeah. I think Having or bringing the right wingman with you, somebody who knows your limits, somebody who's going to be understanding when it's time, when you reach your limit, and when you're ready to go, and is going to be supportive of you just saying goodbye in the middle of the party because you've had enough. Like that's not everybody's cool with that. Having the right wingman too is important if you're an introvert or even if you are shy, for both categories, because it might be a whole lot more stressful for you to try to talk to the people you don't know around the table. So having somebody who can be your buffer or be somebody you can rely on, or even somebody or bring the extrovert. Or I'm making the confusion now too. Uh, Bringing that person who is not shy, who make the introductions for you, a great idea for an event like this.
I'm available, and you can always like you can blame me if we want to leave. Scene, no scene, however like you want it, I'll do it.
So, like knowing that introvert versus extrovert is a spectrum, where would you fall on that spectrum?
I'm definitely an extrovert. As long as there's not a camera, I am. And then I'm also very outgoing, but I'm down to like if it's like my party, I'd want to be in the dance floor. But because if you invite me and you let me know you don't want to do that shit, I will do whatever the hell we want to do. Like we'll do the cornhole thing or whatever it is. I don't care, and I can make all the introductions. I'm good at that. I'm good at with people, face to face, not in
So
front of like big crowds and
it,
cameras.
it really depends on the day for me. So I think I'm more towards the middle of the spectrum,
Yeah,
but
for
I'm
sure.
definitely on the extroverted side of the curve.
Yeah.
But I definitely have those days where I just need to be left alone to recharge. But on the shy versus socially confident spectrum, like I'm extremely shy. Like unless I'm in front of a camera, like I can in front of a camera and audience, like I'm suddenly no shyness at all.
Yeah. Yeah. That's,
Whereas you put a camera in front of Andrea and she's a whole
yeah.
other person.
Yeah. I thought I couldn't F this up because it wasn't like there wasn't a script,
Mhm.
but I'm definitely effing it up. But
It's
that's
okay. It's our first
okay.
try.
I
But
don't know if it's gonna
remember,
get
you're
any better.
don't look at your microphone. Don't look at the screen. Look at me. Like we're having a
Okay.
conversation.
Okay,
The whole idea here is we're having a conversation.
but you told
So
me to
you can
talk to my.
ignore the electronics.
They're kind of hard to ignore. Okay.
But one of the tips that I thought was really great for, and this is more for the shy than the introvert, but I think it was an excellent tip, was to wear comfortable clothes. That should be a tip for everybody, regardless of who you are. If you're wearing 9-inch heels to a wedding and you're going to be dancing for 6 hours, you're not going to be wearing those shoes very long.
But sometimes that doesn't matter, Mike.
It matters.
It doesn't matter.
Well, I don't wear women's shoes. If I wear like a solid soled shoe to a formal occasion, like I'm not standing for more than an hour or two, or they're coming off.
But yeah, but that's why part of being prepared, you have like flats in your bag, and that way
That's
you can
part
come
of
in
being comfortable.
looking hot and wearing the heels. Don't yes, be comfortable, but if you want to dress up too and that makes you feel more comfortable, like showing it off, then wear the damn heels.
I mean, it's not just about physical comfort. It's about mental comfort.
Yes.
Total comfort.
So for
don't wear
two perspectives.
Right. Well, I mean, if like that revealing dress makes you uncomfortable, like that's just going to give you anxiety all night.
Well, yeah, but also be mindful of the bride and things like that, because I don't give
like right now.
why. Well, like I don't give an F about things sometimes, but like, am I like I wouldn't care what somebody wore at my wedding, and I've been to weddings where people are like, it's a little bit okay. You weren't expecting that at a wedding, but I mean, I didn't think like mine and my sister's dresses were bad, but my sister freaked out because it was like sheer, so we had to go buy a black shirt. It was like a sweetheart top, and it was sheer like here, and she had us go buy like a black T-shirt from Walmart to put underneath. Some people are more modest than others, so I mean, and it's yeah.
So if you want to be comfortable at a wedding, like mentally and physically comfortable, you're like trying to wear something that's not you.
No,
Is probably.
yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah. So where are you?
But they also, like, in addition to being comfortable, one of the suggestions they made was to wear something or wear an accessory that can be a conversation starter, or wear an accessory that really stands out, like that one item that like people are going to comment on and that can bring people to you and be a conversation starter.
I'll wear my makeup jacket next time. That'll really
Like I'm
get
wearing
the
my
conversation.
makeup jacket for every formal occasion from now on.
I love it. I love it, Mike. I love it.
That's the whole reason we got that.
Ay.
But if you're, this is probably a really good time to make a serious plug. If you are an introvert, or more importantly, if you're shy and you've been invited to a wedding, like this is what we do. Maka Social is an app that allows you to more easily meet the people around you and make conversation without having to make small talk or fear of rejection. So if you're shy and you've been invited to a wedding, you might want to put a little bug in the bride's ear that maybe they should be offering the Maka parties or make a party service by Maka Social, or buy it for them as a gift. So that's our mandatory commercial. So,
it definitely takes the guesswork out of starting a conversation, which is nice for even people who are extroverted, because I'll like talk to you about anything. But yeah, if I already know that you like Doctor Who, I can at least that one I can
pretend that you've heard of it.
I actually have heard of I watched Doctor Who for a while, but
So
it's
you kind of look like a Cyberman right now. And I bet you have no idea what that is because you're faking it.
No, I'm not. No, that's the gray robot guy that they steal their souls. But there was one episode where I think they like brought them in and they made them seem like they were good. And I don't remember what happened there, but I actually did watch it.
It's good enough that I think you might have actually seen an episode.
Eccleston was my favorite.
Oh, he was the worst.
You're the worst, but okay.
Anyway, moving on. I think that about covers being an introvert at a wedding.
Okay.
Lots of really good stuff in that. And by the way, Wedding Wire and Brides are really fantastic resources if you're looking for information about planning your wedding or going to a wedding. I subscribe to both of those services because we're going to be doing these live streams more in the future. We want to have good articles to talk about. And both of those sources are just full of information. So I'll give them a plug. So we had two other articles that were actually very similar to each other. Andrea found one and I found the other about how to plan your wedding without a wedding planner, and also how to save some money or some money saving tips for your wedding. So what stood out for me from these two?
I just think, in today's time, I mean, we're all looking, to save money, or maybe not all of us, but I mean, I think it's kind of hard to fathom how much people are spending at weddings. And yeah, it's nice to see that there's ways to trim the budget a little bit to make more money sense.
Well, I think one of the big tips is destination weddings suck. Like, a lot of people dream big about having the perfect wedding at the perfect setting, the perfect beach, in this perfect island. And maybe you can afford that, but I guarantee you've got a lot of friends and family on your guest list who are struggling, who are not going to be able to make that trip. And they're going to make that trip anyway because they love you, and they're going to suffer for it. Don't do that to your friends and family. Figure out where most of them are and do your wedding there. It's going to save you a whole lot of money. It's going to save you a whole lot of travel expenses, and it's going to save your friends and family a whole lot of money in their travel expenses. If you're doing well and you want to have a fantastic getaway, like do your honeymoon somewhere nice. Like don't do that to your family.
Mhm.
And don't go to Vegas.
On the same token, one of the articles said, you can nix the wedding party. That's, you know, just because you've saved up and this is your dream, doesn't mean everybody has, hundreds of dollars to spend on dresses and such. So it's just, I mean, try to be mindful,
Yeah,
I guess, basically, of everybody.
Don't do
And
it.
it'll save you money.
You shouldn't be doing your wedding and your wedding party to impress anybody but yourself. And there's a lot of people out there now that are more interested in buying a house than a big wedding. I dream of having a house. I dream of having a nice car. I dream of being able to start a family with the person that I love. Like those dreams, a lot of times are more important than that big wedding, and that's okay. And don't let anybody tell you different. Like if that's what you really want out of life, and then you don't want to be $30,000 in debt because you threw a big wedding.
Yeah.
And then doing your wedding reception at home, or doing at a friend's house or a family member's house that has a nice yard. I had my wedding was completely classless. Like I had a red Solo cup wedding. we had the wedding. We had the ceremony at a chapel right down the street, and then the reception in my mom's yard, and it was kegs and cans and Solo cups. I'm telling you, and it was fun. Maybe it wasn't a huge budget and it wasn't fancy, but we had a lot of decor. We tried to class it up a little bit.
Sounds better.
We hung the red Solo cups from strings. So but the important thing is that my friends and family were able to make it, and I was able to, enjoy the day with somebody I loved, and we didn't spend a whole lot of money on it.
Better than mine. I texted everybody to meet us at the courthouse on Friday.
That's on the list. Courthouse wedding is on the list. A lot of times,
all of mine are good, but yeah.
It doesn't just having a courthouse wedding doesn't mean that you're eloping and you can't invite your friends and family. There's plenty of room.
Yeah, and then we went all out to eat, and they knew we were broke as F, so we everybody just bought their own crap.
BYOB.
Yes.
BYOB. One of the biggest expenses, believe it or not, in the wedding catering is the booze, is the alcohol. So a lot of times hitting up the liquor store and purchasing what your family is going to drink is a whole lot cheaper than a bar service. You don't need, your friends and family don't need to have somebody make their drinks for them. They know how to make their favorite drink.
Also, cash bars, if you are doing it at a location and you could offer a cash bar, and maybe just have maybe just pay for the champagne for everybody when they do toasts and stuff. But
next time I get married, I'm just buying 40 bottles of pop-up vodka and a few bottles of cranberry juice.
Some whiskey for me. I'll bring my own whiskey.
You want whiskey? You can bring your own whiskey.
I'll bring whiskey. I'm a whiskey girl.
Or I'll buy a couple of bottles of the whiskey that tastes like turpentine that they serve at McDitton's as their well.
Yeah, no, that was, oh my God. And I thought it was paying to get in. And I realized I'm too old for that day. Way too old for all you can drink things. I was like, oh, and I can drink too. And this is I thought it was to go in, I had to pay. And no, that was the thing. And I ended up spending the $10 for the thing for all you can drink, trying one of the things. Nobody told me I could have beer until the last 10 minutes. So yeah. And then I bought the whiskey I wanted because.
Whether some of y'all are out there who are 20 years old. Well, let's be honest, nobody's out there right now. But somebody out there is going to see this recording in the future, and they're going to be 20 years old. And I've got really important piece of advice for you.
Yes.
When you turn 21 and you go to a bar that says any kind of all you can drink special, none of that is anything you want to drink. It is going to taste like gasoline. That is the stuff they're trying to get rid of. That is on the all you can drink menu, or the things that they like purchase for like $30 from some black market, or
For like a
$30 a
whole
case
case,
from like
yeah.
a black market seller. Like you don't want to drink any of that crap,
It was awful.
and you definitely don't want it at your wedding. Like, even if you're going to, you're going to purchase your own
These
liquor.
are your family are people you love. Remember that.
Yeah.
Even yes.
Most of them.
Yes, that's true.
On paper.
Yes.
I love all of my family on paper. In theory.
Another thing that I thought was kind of cool was some brides are reusing their flowers. So like if you are a bride that's having and not doing it Mike and Andrea style when we had our weddings, if you're having an actual like ceremony and you know the wedding reception and everything, you can take the flowers from. Don't you do it? That's why you have family and friends. Have them bring the flowers from the ceremony and set it up while you're taking pictures. And I mean that's another thing from the other.
That was actually such a no-brainer to me that I didn't even think of it as a tip.
I would never. I don't like flowers, so I would never like. For me, I think it's because I never thought about having flowers at my like. I was like, oh, I just won't have flowers.
Flowers are a really big deal at a wedding.
No, they're so ugly.
It's like the number one decor for a wedding, like flowers and ribbons. And
No, just get a damn
how do you
bouquet
think
for me.
flowers are ugly. They're like nature's decoration. You just don't like nature.
I don't. You're right.
Like you hate nature. You hate God because God made nature.
Well, I don't. Yeah, we
Yeah.
won't. That's another topic, Mike. Yeah,
Definitely not putting words in Andrea's mouth.
Yeah. It's okay. We're not going to sidetrack that much. And then and then obviously there's like the damn crafts and stuff and.
I really didn't like that tip because this is just really bad economics. If somebody does a job professionally, they can do that task a whole lot better and faster and more efficiently than you can.
But I'm not saying for everything, okay? But I have been there. Like one of my friends at their wedding, she had like these. It was like little mason cup thingamajiggies, and they had candy in it, like the wedding. And then,
for those who have no idea what we're talking about, because we kind of jumped over the actual tip, is the author was suggesting that instead of buying flowers or instead of buying like big decor, that you get crafty and make your own. And
I don't think for the big things like the flowers. I'm talking about like for like the little things you could probably do. And I've done it. Like I remember like I cross stitched like 30. So if you're not crafty, I'm sure there's somebody that is, and then you've got friends that are willing to learn. Cross stitching wasn't hard to do. But yeah, it was like a little, I don't remember what the hell it was, some sort of animal or something she had. And then,
I guess if you're typically a crafty person,
it's definitely not a tip for everybody. Or if you have crafty, I mean, I guess it's just I have 5. There's 6 of us in all, but 5 girls in the family. I would just make some of them bitches help me out if I was to ever have a wedding like that.
Mm-hmm.
My next wedding, it's gonna be similar.
I guess if you're a crafty person or you have that crafty person in your network who wants to help out, sure. But if you've never done anything like this before and you're just like looking at a YouTube video for the first time to explain how you do it, like I guarantee you there's somebody out there who could do that 10 times faster.
Also, you have to be careful with crafts because crafts can be expensive as hell too because
when you're doing something DIY, first of all, you have to really take into consideration the cost of the materials, but that's the obvious part. Then you have to consider your time. Your time is valuable. If you're putting a whole lot of time into something, like what rate per hour do you value your time?
But that's why you get free labor from your friends and family. If it's something easy, like filling up, like for example, when we did the little card thingies with M&M candies that we were passing out,
Mm-hmm.
We did that shit.
You didn't do that shit. I hired somebody else to do that shit. I told you I did that shit.
See, I'm learning things.
No, I had somebody else.
See?
Yeah, I actually had somebody else fill all those boxes with M&Ms.
Like, you could have saved money. I could have done it. I could have had my children do it. I've got tons of free time.
I bought dinner for my mom and her friend for them to sit at the kitchen table and do it while I was working on something else. Like, I wasn't doing that. I value my time a little bit higher than that.
That's fair.
And speaking of value your time, that also brings up another point that it wasn't necessarily in this article, but it's something that I've picked up from a couple of wedding podcasts on the same subject, is consider your location, not just in a broad sense, but where you're having your ceremony versus where you're having your cocktail hour, which I now know is a thing, and and where you're having your reception, and where you're doing your photos and everything else that you're doing that day. Like, and think about how long it's going to take to get from one location to another, not just for yourself, but all of your guests. Because if you've got something going on here and then another thing going on like an hour across town, like that's not just an hour of your time, that's an hour of all of your guest time. And you can, this really becomes literally a money saver if you have hired professionals for the day, because those people get paid by the hour. And if you're taking an hour in transit or an hour moving from one part of town to the other, that's an hour, not just out of your guest time, but out of your vendor's time, and you're paying for it. You've also got to consider that if you're if it normally takes you 30 minutes to get from here to there, you're going to have to almost double that if you're in like a limo or a bus or a big van, because those big vehicles don't move like your normal sedan does. So it's not just it can be a cost saver from your vendors, but also it's a cost saver when you consider that labor and time is a cost.
No, you're
right. So we had also had some tips that kind of got blended in there about doing a wedding without a wedding planner.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like this was a thinly veiled threat that if you don't have a wedding planner, you're going to want a wedding planner.
It was probably a wedding planner that wrote it. But I mean, it still had some, great points. One of my favorites was, for me, because I am not an organized person, or that's why I would have that's why my wedding was like that, like just, hey, come over, this is what we're doing. But you designate someone that day to be like the damn manager. There's always one of your friends is a bossy bitch that you love her for that, and she'll love that she's in charge because she's a bossy bitch, and just make her that person that handles the day so you can do the shit you have to do.
I think this is also a really excellent suggestion, that if you have two people who you would want to make your bridesmaid, like you make the pretty one your bridesmaid, and you make the bossy one like the day of.
That's such an asshole thing to say. It's a very asshole thing to say. Don't listen to Mike.
Well, you don't tell them that's why they got chosen. But like the bossy bitch is going to more appreciate.
What if the bossy bitch is the prettier one?
That's not true.
That is true.
That's never true.
No, like my sister Shayla is like the prettiest probably out of all of us, and the youngest, and she's the meanest bitch there is.
Okay, well, you choose the one who is the good manager and good planner, and
yeah, that is how I would do it.
The effective one to be.
That is how I would do it.
The day of manager.
Yes, pick based on the day of manager, and then have, yeah. Don't listen to Mike. Mike is being an asshole right now. That was a douchey thing.
So it doesn't matter to you that the pretty one is in your wedding photos.
what if you're ugly and you want to, like you feel you're ugly? I don't,
That's
want
true.
some girl to
That's
like
true.
outshine. So there's also that outlook, Mike.
That might be
Actually,
the case.
So
Now that completely got me off topic. So one of the big tips that surprised me was create a separate email address for all of the contacts that you're going to get for planning your wedding. And this actually, when we did the wedding expo a couple of weeks ago, there were a few people who gave us contact information that was specifically so and so's wedding at gmail.com. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, these are fake addresses. Like nobody is going to be answering these emails. This is horrible for marketing. And then realized that this is a really common tip because you're going to be getting like 40 emails a day from all of these vendors that you're trying to contact to coordinate this big party. And it is a really good idea to have a separate email address for those because you'll be able to isolate them and make sure that you're separating them from the rest of the spam that you're getting.
I think it's also when it comes to vendors, I know it's suggested to get them early. You don't want to be that last minute person because it's going to cost you more. It's going to you're going to have less options. So and have trust them. I mean, if they have referrals, use that too. That'll help you out with things and take the recommendations and advice.
And then I think one of the main things that a wedding planner can do for you is they coordinate all of the different vendors and coordinate all of the different services that you're going to need. And it might be a great idea and really convenient to have somebody that knows everybody, but everybody knows somebody. And you might be hiring a caterer who knows a great DJ. You might be hiring a great DJ who knows a good photographer. Make sure that you talk to the vendors that you are using and see who else is in their network and see who else that they would refer if you need another service for your wedding. Like you can do that kind of traffic control on your own just by using the networks of the people that you're using.
And because you're doing it on your own, also make sure I remember one of the tips was the check in the contracts and stuff like that. Don't, make sure, be trusting, but also make sure you're getting what you want. Protect yourself. Another thing I liked, I'm a pretty much a go with the flow person anyways, for the most part when I'm not on camera, but it's just going with the flow, because whether you have a wedding planner or not, whether you have that that boss babe that's managing your day, things can and will go wrong, whether you spend like very little money or you spend thousands. Shit happens. Just relax and enjoy your day.
You really just got to go with the flow. If something disaster happens, like assign somebody else to deal with it. Just remember that it's your day. You're supposed to be enjoying the party. And I think that's another thing that a wedding planner really helps you do is they take care of the details so that you can enjoy your day. Yeah. That doesn't mean that they necessarily have to be there for that effect. Like you can hire that boss for the day, that manager for the day of manager, or even just ask your mom or ask your father can you deal with this problem so that I can enjoy my party? And if they love you, they're going to be happy to help and pitch in. And some things are just not going to be solvable, and you just gotta roll with it.
Yep.
Like, even with the best planning, they say in the military that the best laid plans never survive contact with the enemy. Like that goes for anything, whether it's party planning or marketing or sales or you're always going to run into things that you don't expect, and you just adapt and you got to go. You got to roll with it. So if you do want a specific location or a specific caterer or any caterer, this doesn't go for any specific type of service. This goes for any wedding related service. Book as early as you can. Book now. If you've got a wedding date scheduled, book tomorrow, because these people fill up fast. The really good ones fill up faster. If you're waiting until the last month to book a service for your wedding, you're going to get the people that were passed over by everybody else.
Well, and I mean, so if that thing is so important to you, even more important than the date, I mean, you could always plan around that shit too. I mean, like if you got to have one cake person make your damn cake, find out when they're available to make it, and then be like, "This is what I."
If you're not booking your baker 6 months to a year in advance, you're going to be going with Publix.
And they don't have bad cake though.
They don't have bad cake.
Well, at least for a Florida.
They don't have
if
like,
they don't
cake.
live here in Florida. They're fucked.
Like I enjoy actually going to Publix and getting the unclaimed wedding cakes because I'm fat and it's delicious.
I hate cake.
Yeah, so book early, especially now. We did come up with an article that didn't have a whole lot to discuss, but it's an important point that all of those weddings that were canceled during COVID are now being rescheduled. Like there's a huge surge. I think I was reading 20% more weddings already booked for this year than there were like the national average before COVID. Like there's a 20% increase in the number of weddings being booked. That means that all of those services that you're counting on for your wedding are extremely busy. Not only because of the surge in volume, but because a lot of those companies went out of business during COVID.
Yeah, that's true.
What
do you think happened to the 80% that didn't did they not survive COVID? Their relationship probably. Probably
they couldn't stand being
together 24/7.
A lot of people broke up because they found out that being quarantined together was not a good idea.
Some people had babies.
There's a big surge in, I think the normal rate was cut by 50% during COVID, and it only rebounded by 20%. So that's 30% that didn't make it.
Yep.
Or just 30. It could just be a lot of those 30% may just not be able to book. They may not be able to get those dates that they wanted, or they're pushing it off to 20.
Court weddings. We'll be optimistic.
Yeah, they pushed it off a year. Like we're not going to say that everybody broke up.
Sure, okay. We'll go with that. And then also, if you are doing a destination wedding or eloping, be careful because apparently they've done a cease and desist for Elvis's impersonators.
Yeah. If you were planning that destination wedding to Vegas to get your Elvis wedding, got bad news for you.
Yep.
That's not going to be a thing much longer. Apparently, the company that owned the rights to Elvis changed recently, was purchased by a new company, and they're a whole lot more strict on who can use the Elvis name and likeness, and cracking down on Elvis wedding chapels in Vegas, or Elvis impersonators in general. They're going to have to pay a royalty. So if that was your big dream, sorry, like not this year.
I just don't understand why you don't do I mean, you're eloping anyways, just go. Why can't they just do how, when you go to Party City and you buy a costume, it's never whatever it is. It's not, I'm trying to say a costume that I know. I don't know,
it's not Iron Man. It's robot superhero guy.
Yes. So why don't they just rename it then? Get married by,
It's now Purvis. He's you can get married by the fat 50s pop star, Melvis Pursley.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still getting your
gotta-
drive-through wedding.
You just roll with the punches.
Exactly.
They can roll with the punches too. I think that's just at least for advertising. Then if what's he supposed to? Does he have to change the whole thank you or whatever it is that he says? Like,
I'm a pelvis impersonator.
Ay, Dios mío. Okay.
I mean, they could still wear the same costume. Like,
Well, that's what I'm
they couldn't
saying.
really trademark the look.
I mean, I don't know, but so they just have to change the name. That's what I'm saying. Like, I know that in the costume stores, I laugh every year about the damn Wednesday. I don't remember what it's like. I don't know, depressed school child. I don't know what it is. I wish it was that. I wish I
Like,
could.
what would
think
that
of
even be in analog? Just pulled like the worst costume idea ever. Probably also the cheapest.
I wonder what Party City calls their king costume.
Calls it what costume?
The Elvis, the King of Rock and Roll costume. Party City costume. Elvis costume. Curious. No. You can keep talking, Mike.
Nobody's listening anyway.
I know, it's okay.
Eventually, someday we'll have an audience.
Adult men's rock and roll.
Adult
Costume.
men's rock and roll costume. That's their version of Elvis.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah.
It's like their night costume is like Sir
It's
Lance.
Adult King of Rock and Roll costume. It's another one of them if you wanted it in white. Okay.
Okay.
I think that's it.
I think that covers it. So
I can go.
yeah, if you are planning a wedding and you do happen to be watching our first episode, I'm sorry. We'll get better.
I might not. But it's now my turn to rest and rejuvenate because this was stressful for me, Mike. So stressful.
Look into making a purchase of Maka Social for your party and for your wedding reception and for all of your events, because we make it a whole lot easier for your guests to talk to each other. And compared to anything else that you're going to buy for your wedding, we are affordable. Like $50. You'll get a flower for $50. You might get a bottle of the turpentine liquor for $50. Nobody knows what turpentine is anymore. I meant to say kerosene, and nobody knows what that is anymore either. That's jet fuel. Okay, so until next time. We'll probably do this again in 2 weeks.
Bye. Take off my condoms.